Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to watch the SLAR curriculum video updates here with me today. So to get started, everyone needs to go to their Schoology page, and then once you're logged into Schoology, you'll go to Groups, and then of course CISD Curriculum and Instruction. From here, you can click on Resources, and then Curriculum Documents, Elementary, and then here you'll see, you'll have to click on the grade level that is pertinent to you. I'm just going to click on Kindergarten for the purposes of this video, and then we're going to go into the Literacy folder. So as you know, the Literacy page here at the top refers to the English Language Arts literacy. If you scroll down the page, we now have the Spanish Literacy landing page. And then if you'll click on Unit 2 for your grade level, that's the first document that we're going to explore and kind of see what are the components that have been added for Spanish Language Arts. So what has been try to be uniform across all the units is the color coding, for blue being in English and red being in Spanish, just as you would see it, in your classroom. So here, if you scroll down, still kind of waiting on the page to load, but we're going to look at some different components of the unit and how they've been customized for Spanish Language Arts. Okay, so the first piece that you'll see is the Spanish Language Arts phonics section, and the syllabus have been broken down by grading period, so each 9 weeks. But of course, the units do not always line up with the grading periods. So for example, Unit 2 is going to end in the first 9 weeks, and then it will start in the first 9 weeks and then it will end in the second 9 weeks. So that's why I've included both the syllables from the first and the second 9 weeks. You're only going to see this section here for Kinder First and Second, because that's where we purchased the new resource Gramática y Fonética, and these syllables are based on not just that resource but also the TEKS. For example, what you'll notice in the kindergarten Fonética book has some syllable lessons that are really related to first grade TEKS. So, for example, if you teach kinder, you wouldn't necessarily do every single lesson in the Gramática y Fonética. We're basing it first off of the TEKS and then off of the sequence that it's taught in that particular resource. So then, as we scroll down, you'll see the HPLS, which is the High Priority Learning Standards for Spanish Language Arts, and they're listed out here. They're spelled out, like the whole TEK is there, and that's by unit as well. And then here you'll see it says click for link. So this is a little hyperlink here that if you click on this, it will take you to the HPLS clarification document for your grade level. And again, as I'm explaining this using the kindergarten page, if there's any discrepancies between kinder and, let's say, your grade level, like 4th or 5th or any other grade level, please let me know so that I can go in and fix anything that's not consistent across, K through 5. Okay, so what we have here is the HPLS for Spanish Language Arts. These are all hyperlinks, so you can click on any of these as soon as the page loads. And it will be a bookmark to that particular page. So, and it has this English high priority learning standards as well if you teach in both English and in Spanish. I know that there's a few people that only teach in Spanish. So if you only teach in Spanish, you only need to look at the Spanish Language Arts high priority learning standards. But you also might, consider looking at the English ones as well. Because what has been identified as a high priority learning standard in English may also be applicable in Spanish. Not everything, but some things are. So here you have the HPLS clarification. So it gives you the TEK at the top, and then it talks about the standard, what does that look like? And then also, what does proficient look like? And then the prerequisite skills, what would they need to know before they can master that skill? And then some sample assessments, like how would you test to know that they have mastered that TEK? And then, of course, intervention if they don't get it after you've taught it, and then enrichment if they got it and they're ready to move on. So this is really important because the HPLSs are on every unit. They're going to repeat in every unit all year long because these are the standards that have been identified district-wide as the most important standards before being able to move on to the next grade level. They're standards that are going to be either assessed, they're essential for the foundation, and they carry a lot of weight. Maybe they're assessed on STAR if you're in a STAR tested grade. So those are some of the criteria that was used to determine HPLS. Okay, so going back to the unit plan, as you scroll down some more, what we tried to do is kind of mirror some of the patterns that were happening on the English side. So what you'll notice is, for example, scrolling back up, you have the HPLS in English, and then you have the HPLS in Spanish. Then you have the other ELAR standards from this unit and the other SLAR standards from this unit. So here are just the numbers, which, it's not super helpful to just have numbers when you don't know what that number represents. So when you come over to the right-hand side, you'll see these same TEKs that are on the left side, they're spelled out on the right. And the HPLS is highlighted in gray. So you can know, again, that those are the high priority learning standards. One thing that may be, it's kind of hard to see, but it's there, is I've bolded out some of these words, some of the parts of the TEKs. So, when we have a very complex TEK, we need to deconstruct it and teach, piece by piece of that TEK. You can't teach, for example, the silent H, the che, la R, la ella, all in one day or even 1 week. So those have been broken down by unit. That's going to be on the scope and sequence, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then we have our academic vocabulary. So these words have been translated to Spanish, the academic vocabulary has. And one idea that we've been kind of batting around is perhaps also having these definitions in Spanish. So I'd love to hear your feedback on, if you think that that's needed or if that would be helpful for you in your grade level. And then coming down here, we have SLAR considerations. So some units have these considerations, which again point out the part of the TEK that we might be focusing on for that unit. Okay, so I believe that is everything for Unit 2 that has been added for Spanish language arts. So now going back to our Spanish literacy landing page, we've looked at Unit 2. I just mentioned the scope and sequence and how those TEKs are broken down. So let's take a look at a different grade level now on the scope and sequence. So down here at the bottom are your tabs. I'm just going to click on first grade. And then again, going along with the color coding, we have the TEKs that are unique to SLAR in red at the bottom. So if you scroll all the way down, you'll see here, these are the TEKs that are unique to Spanish language arts. And then when you look into some of the units, for example here, the segmenting spoken words into syllables, including words with sílabas trabadas, right? So we've got our sílabas trabadas, and they're broken down blah, bruh, cl, cr in Unit 2. And then Unit 3, we're going to focus on dr, fl, fr. So you can see how, we've broken down, because the TEK doesn't even tell you all the sílabas trabadas. So I've done the research there, looked at what are the sílabas trabadas, and then broken them down by unit. So that should help a little bit so that we're all kind of on the same page. You know, whether you're at Wilson or Denton Creek, you can, you know, call up your partner who teaches the same thing as you, and you guys will be on the same page. So that's my hope, my vision for the scope and sequence and breaking down these TEKs. Okay, the next part that we're going to look at here, back to the literacy landing page, is the assessment overview. So when we look down here under beginning of year, middle of year, end of year, assessment overview, we're going to click on that. Now what you'll notice is this page is the ELAR assessment overview. One of my very next steps in my work with the curriculum is to create a Spanish language arts assessment overview page. So a page that looks like this but has information that is just for Spanish language arts. So one component of this page that is ready to go is the high frequency words assessment. And I'm kind of waiting on this page to load, but while I'm waiting, I can tell you some of the other indicators here. For example, the running record indicators and the iStation indicators, that those numbers are going to be reflective of ISIP, right, and EDL as opposed to DRA or whatever leveled readers that you're using, and what those levels should be in Spanish, right? Because of course they're going to be very different. So I think might be almost ready here. There we go. So when you click on high frequency words assessment and you open this document, of course originally it just had the English sight words. But now I've added tabs for Spanish language arts for kinder, first, and second down here at the bottom. So for example, looking at first grade, right? So these are the same syllables over here on the right that you find in the units under the SLAR phonics part. But this is really, it goes beyond what's in there, because these links will take you to websites where the articles are listed for you, or where the diptongos are listed for you. So you can kind of see the thought behind some of the words that are tested here. So these words are made up of the syllables that were intended to be taught for that grading period. So if you notice for unit 1 and 2, all of the words here are made up of the syllables from grading period 1. And then when you look at grading period 2, units 3, 4, and 5 from the Gramática y Fonética, that's going to also include these syllables, plus perhaps some syllables that have already been taught and should have already been mastered. So you'll see the total down there at the end of the year will be 124 words. You have met standard, approaching standard, and insufficient progress. So it also breaks down how you would give them a grade for these syllabus. So it's all Spanish phonics based, and it goes along with the Gramática y Fonética and the TEKs for that grade level. In second grade, it got a little bit different because we moved from less phonics and more grammar. So the words that you see here are based on the grammar point. So palabras agudas, llanas, esdrújulas, palabras con sufijos, prefijos, homófonos. So these are words based on what they should be learning in the grammar component. In terms of the spelling, you can use these words and also have them for your spelling test, or you can use different words. That's up to you. And it's another piece of what's coming on this SLAR curriculum assessment overview page. Okay, going back to so that is the only thing right now on this page that's for Spanish language arts. Going back to the Spanish literacy landing page, the Phonics Timeline will also take you straight to that high frequency words assessment. I just titled it Phonics Timeline because it does kind of break down the timeline of when we're teaching which syllables during what time of the year. And then also on this page, we have the vertical HPLS, so the vertically aligned high priority learning standards as it relates to Spanish language arts. So you can kind of see how this high priority learning standard changes in first and then again changes in second, if they're related or not. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. For example, here, using letter sound relationships to decode, and then eventually spelling multisyllabic words. So you can see some of the progression there. And that's the vertical HPLS. And then, of course, the HPLS clarification documents, which are linked in each of the units, but there you can find all of them. And then finally, under the report card, I'm sure you might have already looked at this, but this rubric, again, is reflective of the Spanish language arts. It has the HPLS, because that's what we're going to be reporting out on the report card. It has the description of the standard, and then how do you know if they have mastered that or not. And the final component that we're going to review is the matrix for the report card. So you can see down here at the bottom, there are different tabs for Spanish language arts versus English language arts. And it takes those high priority learning standards and breaks them down according to what grading period we're in, what does MET standard look like, and if grading period 1, what does IPS look like in AS. So those are all of the documents that have been created specifically for Spanish language arts, and you can access all of those on the Spanish Literacy Kinder, the Spanish Literacy landing page for your grade level, whether that's Kinder through 5th. Thank you again for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to bring one aha moment and one question or comment to your DLI planning day next week. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a wonderful day.